Please allow me extra time. Good afternoon, Chairman Powers, Chairman Miller, and the members of your committees. My name is Benny Boscio Jr., and I am the president of the Correction Officers Benevolent Association, the second largest law enforcement union in the city of New York. Our members, as you know, provide care, custody, and control of approximately 6,000 inmates daily. Today's hearing focuses on the horrific conditions in our city's jails. With the limited time I have, I want your committees and the public to understand how the conditions in our jails have deteriorated. Who has been responsible for this deterioration, and to reaffirm the changes COBA has been calling for over the past year. But before I begin, it must be said that this is not the first time I've testified before you, Mr. Powers, and your committee. In fact, I raised the very same issues before in hearings you held in December of last year and in March of this year. Since that time, you have not reached out once to offer any support to our members. We were also made aware of the fact that you recently held a private meeting between various city agencies to discuss the absolute emergency facing Rikers Island, as you described it to the New York Times. Why was COBA, one of the biggest stakeholders in the city's jail system, not invited to that meeting? So how did we get to the dire conditions of our jails currently face? Let's start with jail violence. In 2016, when Mayor de Blasio unilaterally ended punitive segregation for inmates 21 and under, we saw a major spike in violence. In fact, jail violence has risen every year for the past 8 years, including inmate-on-inmate violence, stabbings and slashings, and assaults on correction officers, which rose 23% over the past year, and we believe that percentage is actually more. Despite the increased violence, Mayor de Blasio and other progressive politicians decided to give out Game Boys and hold pizza parties for inmates while seeking to end punitive segregation completely. Without our ability to separate violent inmates from the general population, repeat violent offenders continue to terrorize nonviolent inmates and correction officers with impunity.
Time has expired.
There is a Rikers Island Prosecution Bureau physically located on Rikers Island. The Bronx DA has repeatedly declined to prosecute many cases involving stabbings and slashings, sexual assaults against female correction officers, and other violent felonies committed against correction officers. In fact, the Bronx District Attorney's Office has the highest number of felony cases that were not prosecuted last year. So here we have two major failures in our criminal justice system: a failure to hold inmates accountable for their violent crimes committed behind bars, and a failure to provide us with the ability to separate violent offenders from the general population. A third major failure of our criminal justice system emerged during the COVID-19 pandemic. 1,800 officers contracted the virus, with 9 officers tragically succumbing to it. At the height of the pandemic, the officers were forced to work triple shifts. At one time, almost 3,000 officers were out because of the DOC failure to provide us with PPE. COBA filed a lawsuit over the triple shifts, and on April 24th, 2020, Mayor de Blasio said, quote, "Triple shifts were a dumb managerial mistake, and they will never happen again." Fast forward to today, and now the entire world knows what COBA has been saying for over a year. Triple shifts and even quadruple shifts are happening every day. When an officer is on a shift, he or she is not afforded breaks for meal, breaks to use the bathroom, or even breaks to seek medical attention. It's nothing short of inhumane. Since February 2019, Mayor de Blasio and his administration, and even this city council, watched the inmate population rise, the numbers without our workforce dwindle. In fact, just 1 year, the inmate population has nearly doubled from 3,400 to 6,000. Our workforce has shrunk from over 9,000 officers to 7,600 today. Much of that reduction was the result of nearly 1,300 resignations on top of retirements. In my 22 years as a correction officer, I have never seen so many officers leaving their jobs after just a few years because of the horrific conditions in our jails.
Time has expired.
For the staffing crisis, yet Mayor de Blasio hasn't hired new class of officers since February 2019. Even with the department's promise to hire 600 more officers this fall, they won't enter the jails until January, likely to lose 600 officers between now and then. If your committees are truly interested in improving the conditions in our jails, then it's time for once to listen to the boots on the ground. Fix the staffing crisis by fixing the humanitarian crisis. Make our jails safer for everyone by holding assaulted inmates accountable for their attacks on our members and other inmates. Demand the Bronx DA's prosecution of felony crimes committed on Rikers Island. Allow us to separate violent offenders from the general population and demand that either this administration or the next administration hire the 2,000 officers needed to relieve officers working 25 plus hours right now. We didn't create this series of systemic failures that have created these dire conditions, and we damn sure didn't turn a blind eye while they were unfolding. We continue to do our jobs in an impossible environment every day. All we're asking is that you do your jobs and give us the support and resources we need immediately to make our jails safer for everyone. With that said, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and I appreciate you giving me the extra time.